This is the Ponderous Brick Thinker with a Castle update. And the update is, I have an idea, maybe a new direction for the elevator that might impact the Tower of Understanding and the vehicles. My idea for the vertical circulation originally was so that it could be part of the structure, kind of be noticeable, but have each zone be characteristic of its representative area on Earth. As the project came along, I gave each tower a theme so that I can, one, experiment with different ways of construction so that it was not the same kind of tower, but also to experiment with the color combinations and how to put the pieces together so that it can be something unique. But it later developed so that this is the Tower of Immersion. The circulation has come to be an elevator, and not a working one, just something symbolic of what an elevator can be. And while I can continue along this path, which is transparent, and then have the corners be the solid pieces, it is going to be, at least in this level, be covered up with some kind of vegetation. Exactly, I'm not sure. But eventually, with enough, the elevator will be hidden. For the sky, I'm still kind of thinking about that, but it might be kind of a representative of clouds. We'll see how that goes. But I do want it to kind of be noticeable now so that at least it kind of makes sense as to how the Lego people are going up and down the tower. And so it comes to the point where how can I make this really stand out? This was following the color theme of the zone. So then, okay, it's kind of hidden, or it's going to blend in, but then it's going to be even blended more with all the vegetation that's going to go around it. And so another thought was how to maybe combine the colors throughout the tower so that, okay, a sky color is occurring here, you notice it, or down here, you notice it. But what's more noticeable of using a color from here down here is that to make it as much as possible transparent. I had started gathering transparent pieces of the different colors that are available so that I can, maybe use them for a project. They're not enough to build a castle out of, but in some respects, they can be the jewel of a construction. So if I combine the colors, it doesn't matter because, well, I'm not sure, pink flowers maybe, but just to combine them to create the columns, the four corners of the elevator, to kind of signify within this zone, you can go up and down. That's the idea. And because they're transparent and they have a unique look to them compared to everything else that's occurring around them. If I keep them transparent as they are here, they should catch the light and be noticeable as being different from the surrounding structure and the surrounding vegetation. So if I combine the colors, especially with the red, it will be really noticeable, and then right next to the yellow and so forth, just so that it's can be a jewel inside of here that will go from the water, and it should be noticeable behind these kind of transparent pieces, which, yes, they're the same kind of material, but you have a solid surface that's kind of big. But if I even use the single stud plates of the different transparents, it is a different pattern that it makes it different from this. At the same time, I can use this, which I was already kind of semi-using for the lab. I already started using the transparent pieces of the macaroni and the 2x2 round bricks. I just need to continue that theme so that the equipment of the lab becomes a little bit more interesting. So that way, even though you're on the outside, you're drawn inside because there's something unique going on in there. I just need to be mindful of how I'm going to divide this up so that it has a logical window, but yet still open enough to look inside, but still be kind of a wall because you're kind of protecting this area. This is going to be the opposite of the Tower of Immersion, which is more open and more branching out. At least that's the idea. So with that being said, in terms of transparent pieces, the vehicles, yes, I do kind of have some transparent pieces going on in there, but if I continue to make that more of the, how do I say, the motif, theme, the iconography of the vehicle, so that way it can be tied into there. All that is lacking is the Tower of Action, which, at least from this angle, I think, okay, so we have two levels. It could be like the power source for the entire castle in there. Safe, clean energy, because right here is the kitchen. So it has to be safe. So it could be like the brand new technology inside, which was the original architecture, and you can just barely see it. But because of the transparency and the way it catches the light, it could be still revealing. It can still, draw your attention, even though it might be in shadow. I just need more of them. Or maybe just figure out a way to get more light in there. But that would be the idea, because then the power source can power the vehicles, which makes sense to have all the vehicles right here. So that's the idea. So for right now, I'm going to, at least for the land zone, see what color combinations I can get. Something also important is that I'm still going to need a 1x6 plate to kind of hold it together structurally, because otherwise the columns can be separating, and visually, so that it can still tie into some of this colors of the brick here. I don't have a plate yet that big in any of the colors, maybe just single stud plates or 1x2, but nothing that long to hold it together. So it has to be kind of both transparent and minimal opaque. So let's see where that takes me. Let me explain this one. It is just a thought. When I had these pieces, from the ramp, to maybe they could be part of the elevator too. But then I realized I don't really have plates or bricks of this circumference. Smaller, yes. Well, that was just a thought. So also why this kind of worked is that the 4x4 space that I had in this sketch is there. It's for the minifigs to be in, but also you can't really fit through there. So it's not really the ideal, but if I move them out, then it becomes a little bit better. But it also takes up a lot more room. So this was just a thought. And so then I came up with, okay, just this much. The 4x4 is there. It's in the corner diagonal. So that's a clear space. And then one line of studs to be the structure, which is what you see here. And then in order for it to be secure structurally, why not make the corners a 2x2? So that way there could be an extra column of studs to help keep this secure. This is fine, but then let's see what else I can do with it. And so that'll be the next step. And now we have this right here. It is delightful to look at. But it doesn't yet say elevator to me yet. So here, I have two different corners. Here, they're on the diagonal. I like this little space between them. This side, it's only the stud next to it in terms of the exit coming this way. Still potential. And so this will be how it looks like with both sides, and like that. And so since I like this more, I continue this up so that this is how it would look on the entrance exit of the elevator. Also here, I was a little bit more controlled with the colors so that this is the same color, it's just different shape, to help with continuity. I think by having too many colors, it just stops the vertical line, even though they're, in perfect columns, but the color distracts from that. And I thought, okay, so if I keep this consistent and change a little bit of color in between, will that be enough? It's still a little too busy in terms of making it sense. This is probably a room you would want to visit, but you have no idea why you're going in there. Until you're in there, then you might be elevated. So I still need to figure out what to do. This shape I like. Maybe it's with the color. Maybe it's too much if I need to focus on a level in the zone, but I didn't want to do that. I want to kind of integrate everything. But there we go. My next step, even though I still have questions about how to arrange the colors, is to finish this off, make it like a normal level like this, but then figure out a way to make it removable and secure so that when it's time to lift the tower for secure moving, I can figure out what I want to do with that joint and be able to just continue what I have here, but try and make it seamless, that it makes sense that, or should I call attention to it? Should I not? What can I do at this level so that it can rest securely and then be able to be lifted off without, especially the elevator part that's going to be being lifted because it no longer has a support. I don't want it to drop. So more things to think about. I decided to go back and reinforce the structure so that it has a better chance of receiving the next level, even though it's not going to be directly connected like every other brick. So I made the diagonal on each of the corners, and I like how that looks. Even though there is a lot of color, having a distinct line vertically helps sell that direction in terms of maybe if I go in there, I'll go up and down. Just to point out, it is a 1x8 holding the corner, a 1x6 holding the inner corner, and a 1x4 holding on to nothing. It is just on top of the transparent pieces, but it is needed to keep all of this on level. But one of the things that I notice is that if this is going to be so loose, maybe I don't need it. And I can go like this, which is an option. It's just that it seems that now there's a huge space here compared to this side. And I need this to kind of hold everything together. It'll be nice if this also played a part in holding together, just because this is going to be a long, tall structure. It'll be best just to have a regular reinforcement in between. So instead of having these 1x4 transparent panels be there, I was thinking maybe 1x2 panels to kind of fit in the middle there. But to have maybe transparent 1x2s in the inner corner to come in and support a 1x4 across, so that at least the all the structures kind of hold on together because these 2x2, either round or regular bricks, hold these columns together. But if there's more going on here, maybe not a complete wall, maybe just on the top, we'll see if there's any other way to connect them, but just so that there is some sharing of the load, all the bricks holding together the structure here, and that will probably be stronger than just having a loose transparent piece right there. That way, when I come up to this level, there'll be a line indicating this is the level on the zone, and here's the entryway or exit. But that way, at least this also helps sell the verticalness. It's another line rather than having a larger plane there. This can help just indicate this is an upward place, a vertical transportation, if you will. So I'm going to fix this up before I go into experimenting with how to make the next level removable to indicate I can use this for the water, at least this part, and what is the first land zone going to be looking like. Here is the updated elevator shaft. I included 1x2s on the upper level, single stud down there to kind of just balance it out. It seemed kind of odd that there was this kind of protrusion coming out from here without some kind of supporting or mirroring effect there. So a minor question is, should I keep it cone, circular, or a regular brick transparent piece? I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure if it's enough to be worried about, as long as there's something there to kind of balance it out. But now it is ready for the supposedly Earth level. I'm going to use this and modify it as I need it to kind of suggest continue this kind of arrangement, but the land is going to go on top of the sea, and so right now I'm going to figure out a way to kind of hold this in place without becoming attached with the studs, so that way in the future I can remove at least this part up. So here's the result of putting the third level on top of the first two. It is removable, very delicate, just because they are supported just by a single line of studs. The single studs here help keep this in place actually, because they fit along the corners of right here, and so as a result it kind of is there. But again, it's all dependent on the strength of these little columns right there. So we'll see how that goes. But at least there, I can imagine that at least this joint will occur somewhere around here, so that whenever the tower lifts, this can go with the tower. So that will be it for the elevator shaft. But I did mention that this idea might influence the Tower of Understanding. Not that I have much to show as to what's going to go in there, but I do have an idea of using the transparent pieces like so. So now it kind of looks weird, which is fine, because if you do it enough times, it might make sense. So the idea is that these will be surrounding the examination or the discovery table, and it will be technology. It could be the data, it could be the sensors, it could be just the processing units. And so that they'll be around here. They just need to be, I would say, vertical orientation, just so that it can look like it's going through the different levels. And right now I'm just putting bricks there to get a visual. And then from here, other technology can be placed. For example, the actual looking pieces that look like technology. But for right now, I think that's going to be that. And for the vehicles, here's a little modification. I added more transparent pieces. And what I'm thinking is for them to just be in the core, I had this initial one right in there. And then I just maybe need to develop a little bit more. It does depend on what I have left over from the technology here for the elevator and for the tower of action to see what can really be put into the vehicles. But this is continuing the one where it's really elongated and they're basically lying down here except for beta. I will say this is interesting. It has a wedge, almost triangular shape to it. The only drawback is that if I hold it here, these start to disengage and it becomes weaker. That's the only thing. So it has to be kind of right here where the support, you can hold it. But it's coming together, I think. I would probably need another place to hold them together, not just at one point. But we'll see how this vehicle develops. Because in the next episode, it is going to be the Tower of Action and the vehicles that I really need to focus on. I have good direction on the Tower of Understanding. The Tower of Immersion has a good start. But now I need to focus on the Tower of Action and the mini towers or structures that are going to support the vehicles. So more or less in the next episode, I'm going to hopefully narrow down what these are going to look like, or at least how they're going to attach to the building, and go from there. So that will be it for this episode. Thank you for stopping by. If you liked the episode, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of this project, go ahead and subscribe and sign up for notifications, and see you next time.